Which professions have the worst people? MLM marketers, or at least, those who are actually successful with MLMs. Can confirm. My cousin does one of the beauty ones, and all I see on her Facebook page is this shit. She used to be cool and fun to hang out with, then she got into the road and fields crap and it all went downhill. I have some MLM fiends that advertises good health/beauty. One of them have a filter in their page. Some of the most broken people I've ever met were mental health workers. Can concur. There's something to Nietzsche's thoughts on staring into the abyss. It's not easy to leave the things you see and know at the office. Source: I'm a psych nurse practitioner. I wouldn't call the counselors I've seen broken but rather just shitty individuals. I've had counselors be on their phones during sessions. One kept calling my then wife, my girlfriend, due to generational differences. She then proceeded to say I didn't know they had gay where you're from. More than once have had counselors no-show or cancel the appointment 20 minutes after our appointment time. Collections. I worked in IT at a collection agency. People would start out normal but after a while they would forget to turn off the dick mode they used on the phone when dealing with other people. After a few years, they treated everyone like a deadbeat. I once had a collections company call me. The agent started yelling at me about how I'm just trying to delay paying. I asked for the manager. Manager, if they even were a manager, gets all high and mighty. Starts asking if I didn't pay the bill because my wife took all my money and ran off. I didn't have a wife, or ex-wife at the time. Tells me that's why I drive a piece of shit and live with my parents. Spends about 30 minutes insulting me. All over a bill from a hospital that I was in the process of contesting. Good thing I recorded the call and got in touch with a lawyer. Collections company ended up footing the bill for me and paying me another $750 directly. Only had to talk to collections once. They were very nice. Of course when they told me who they were and how much I owed I replied oh good, I was wondering who I had to pay. Are you ready for my card number? I would like to pay in full. I was just happy I wasn't dealing with the billing department from the hospital anymore. I had had 2 similar surgeries around the same time, just different locations. And the hospital could never tell me which one they were calling about, so I ended up overpaying on one and never paying on the other. Television evangelists. I think Jesus, who famously threw the money changers out of the temple for profaning a sacred space, would have a lot to say on the matter of televangelists. This is the best answer. Other jobs I can think of at least one good example, even if they're in a shit organization. I can't think of any televangelist who isn't a grifting sack of shit. I was a correctional officer for a year in Florida. I cannot say if this profession has the absolute worst people, but it is really bad. Maybe you could imagine what it would be like going into a lockdown facility day after day, coming face to face with some of the worst people imaginable, receiving death threats on a daily basis, dodging manipulation and dealing with some of the absolute insanity that goes on. I have minor PTSD from my year there. The energy in a place like that affects everyone there, unfortunately. The officers there can sometimes take on the energy of the inmates, and some may be just as manipulative, angry, and sometimes insane as the prisoners themselves. This could be a highly subjective thing. Some prisons may be different or better. But I honestly believe that no place like that can harbor a completely good person for long without fundamentally changing who they are. I left because I did not like what the environment was doing to me. I give my absolute full respect to the men and women who do that job as lifelong careers though. There are good people that do the job, don't get me wrong. It is just incredibly hard to keep it up in the midst of such conditions. My brother was a CO in Snohomish County, Washington, and was really keen on becoming a cop before he took the job. After a couple years he decided to give up that dream, and is now a doctor of criminal justice who is rather wary of most cops and COs. He still talks shit on the majority of the people he worked with. Generally failed cops with superiority complexes, which somehow sounds even worse than cops. It's easy to blame the incarcerated, but holding people against their will for money is socially abhorrent, even if legalized. Every nurse I've ever met has been either a total sweetheart or an overgrown high school bully. I work at a university that offers a degree in nursing. We basically get three types: great people, good at their studies, will be good at the job. Bullies who will pass and go on to be no-nonsense hard-ass nurses, which are sometimes needed. And then the people who should not finish the degree but probably will because getting it right 50% of the time is good enough. And usually have a son named Jaden/Hayden/Shaden who's their king. Mental health. Some excellent people. Some I would turn and run from if I saw them on the street. In my experience as a lifelong patient, early onset schizo, nursing assistants in psychiatry are the worst. They're burnt out and bitter at best, usually just straight up cruel and give zero fucks about patients' emotional well-being. Seem to get a power trip from degrading us, especially the young ones. Constant drama and infighting in most institutions too, from what you can overhear. They tend to scream all the time at everything. I've met a few decent ones. But then I've also met one that got fired because he arped his co-worker in the bathroom at night. In a pediatric ward. Loudly. We all woke up to the noise. So yeah, mixed bag. Working as a counselor, addictions, specifically, Sono Masters in my state regs to start, I straight up find that people in my field have two types: great at this job, and absolutely nuts. So 50-50 chance I'd never recommend the person you're seeing to someone. Restaurant and bar owners usually suck. There are exceptions. I've known a couple that were cool, but most of them are horrible idiots with weird god complexes. I think because most of the staff is easily replaceable and it's an industry where it's easy to take advantage of people. I've just met some real shitheads working in bars. I've worked in quite a few establishments and this is spot on. Massive egos, crazy, sexual perverts, it just goes on and on. Doesn't matter if I was doing bottle service or working in a family-friendly restaurant. Never again. And if I have a daughter, I'm keeping her out of that industry. Level 1, restaurant owner. Level 2, bar owner. Level 3, disco/club owner. Final boss, strip club owner. Dog training. I always wanted to work with animals. Had a few jobs working at training facilities that promoted using great methods, said all the right things. Saw some horrific things happen behind the scenes when the customers left their loved pets in their care. Quit after my conscience got the better of me and I couldn't live with the burden of the sheer amount of stress it caused knowing I was complicit in working with those people. They can have a beautiful boarding facility, say all the right things, but you really never know what happens to your pet when you leave them there. That's horrifying. I went to dog training courses with my now past German Shepherd, and I remember the trainer telling one of the dog owners there that training collars, the ones with prongs in them that dig into the dog's skin, aren't going to hurt the animal. She proved this by lifting the dog off the ground, while it was wearing the training collar, by its leash. Personally, I think that's a terrific excuse for the owner to punch her in the face. As a receptionist, I have to say it, receptionists. I have met so many countless vapid, bitchy, disrespectful, downright awful receptionists, especially medical receptionists. Every single day I do my best to be the complete opposite of that. Yes, there are definitely aspects of the job that can make you feel bitter as hell, but in the end, it's a matter of choosing kindness. THX for choosing kindness. This can be a tough job and I appreciate you. I've never worked in hospitality but know a lot of people who do/used to. They rarely have anything nice to say about managers in hospitality. I think being a manager in hospitality is often a position you kind of fail into. You start out in the hospitality industry when you're young, you're good at it, it pays the bills alright, but you don't really grow as a person or have any goals. Next thing you know, you realize you're kind of too old to have the job you have forever, but you don't really have any skills outside of the hospitality industry, so you move on up to management. Not because hospitality management was ever a goal of yours, or that you have a passion for that sort of thing, it's just that working in hospitality is all you know and you don't want to wait tables / work the front desk / whatever anymore. Strange, you'd think they'd be hospitable to their own employees too. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.